Harry's phone buzzed violently on the nightstand, cutting through the silence like a knife. He squinted through the dark, surprised to see an unknown number flashing on the screen. The vibrations felt unsettling, more urgent than any call he had received before. His gut twisted. He had learned never to ignore his instincts when something felt off. "Hello?" he answered hesitantly, still half asleep. "Harry? You need to listen carefully," a frantic voice crackled on the line. It was a man's voice, strained and panicked. "This is about your brother, Jamie." Harry's heart dropped. "What about Jamie?" "There's no time for questions. He's in danger. You need to leave your house now," the voice continued, urgency lacing every word. "Get in your car and drive. Don't go to the police. Just go." "Who are you?" he asked, but the caller had already hung up. Feeling a rush of adrenaline, Harry shot upright. Jamie had gone missing 3 days ago, and the authorities had drawn a blank. Ignoring his thoughts, he grabbed his jacket, heart racing as he slipped on his shoes. Could this be a trap? He could feel the shadows in his home morphing into something sinister, urging him to act. The words echoed in his mind. Don't go to the police. What did that mean? The police had been useless so far, but why would a random stranger care about Jamie's safety? He pushed those questions aside. Right now, the only thing that mattered was finding his brother. Out of the corners of his vision, he saw shapes shifting. The sheer weight of dread that Jamie might be hurt pushed him forward. He bolted for the door, adrenaline pulsating through his veins. There was no time to waste. He opened the door and stepped out into the cold air of the night. As he approached his car in the dim light of the driveway, a figure darted across his path. Panic surged. He fumbled for his keys as he squinted into the darkness. "Who's there?" he shouted, his voice shaking. The figure froze for a moment and then bolted toward the shadowy edges of the street. "Wait!" he cried, instinctively following. His heart pounded as he sprinted into the darkness, the cold air biting at his lungs. The wind whistled past him, an eerie counterpart to his racing thoughts. Had this person seen something? Did they know where Jamie was? As he rounded a corner, he skidded to a stop. The figure had vanished. Panic coursed through him again. He turned, debating whether to return to his car or keep running, when he heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps behind him. "Harry!" a distorted voice called out. It was low and menacing, echoing against the night. He spun around, panic clawing at his throat. "Who are you?" The figure stepped into the sliver of moonlight, a man in a dark hoodie, face obscured. "You shouldn't have ignored the call." Fear shot through Harry like ice. What was this man talking about? Was he connected to Jamie's disappearance? The kind of fear that paralyzed most people instead ignited a fire in Harry's chest. He couldn't back down now. "Why? What do you know?" he demanded, trying to sound brave despite his racing heart. "He's in danger, Harry. You need to come with me if you want to save him." "Why would I follow you?" Harry retorted, summoning every ounce of defiance he could muster. "Because time is running out," the man replied, an edge of urgency creeping into his tone. "You think this is just some random kidnapping? This is deeper than you can imagine." Before Harry could respond, the mysterious man turned abruptly and started walking away, glancing back at Harry, as if expecting him to follow. "Wait!" Harry called, his curiosity piqued. Against his better judgment, he took off after the figure, who moved with a purpose toward the end of the street. The shadowy figure led Harry down winding alleyways that seemed both familiar and foreign, each step amplifying his anxiety. They seemed to pass through layers of darkness, the flickering streetlights casting long shadows that danced along the brick walls. Harry's mind raced with possibilities. What could possibly wait for him at the end of this chase? "Where are we going?" Harry panted, trying to catch his breath while keeping the man in sight. The world around him was a ghostly blur, and every creak of the night felt amplified, heightening his anxiety. The man glanced back, his voice low and serious. "To find the truth. You've been distracted by authorities who have no idea what's really going on. We're running out of time, Harry." Just then, a dog barked in the distance, and the man stopped abruptly, casting a wary glance around. Harry almost crashed into him, barely stopping himself in time. "Why are you being so secretive?" Harry pressed, irritation boiling just beneath his fear. "If you know something, just tell me." The man turned to Harry, eyes glinting in a reflection of the nearby streetlight. "Because it's not just about Jamie, it's about something much bigger. Your family is tied to forces you can't even comprehend." That gave Harry pause. "Forces? What kind of forces? What do you mean?" he asked, trying to feign confidence. Is it related to the missing persons cases? He watched as a flicker of something, fear, passed over the man's face. This goes back years, long before you were born. Decisions made by your family have angered beings beyond our world. Harry flinched. Beings? This was too strange, even for a night that had already turned out to be bizarre. Yet there was a strange allure in the man's words, a darkness that beckoned him forward. So what, you want me to play hero and save my brother from some supernatural entities? The man moved closer, lowering his voice. No, I want you to realize that Jamie's in danger because of your family's past decisions. Someone is coming for him, and you need to understand that this doesn't end with just getting him back. Suddenly, a sharp noise rang through the air, a sound like a branch snapping. Both men froze. The man's eyes darted to the shadows, and Harry felt the adrenaline spike again as a sense of urgency washed over him. Suddenly, a sharp noise rang through the air, a sound like a branch snapping. Both men froze. The man's eyes darted to the shadows, and Harry felt the adrenaline spike again as a sense of urgency washed over him. Stay close to me, the man hissed, retracting his earlier bravado. We need to keep moving. He took off again, and this time Harry didn't hesitate. It felt as if the very night was closing in on them, and all the myths and stories he dismissed as mere folklore were coming alive. As they weaved through the maze of alleyways, Harry could feel his thoughts spiraling. Why had he come after this man? Why did he sense a greater truth in the stranger's words? A cacophony of noises echoed around them, distant sirens, the murmur of late-night conversations, and the rustle of leaves. Each sound seemed to mock him as they hurried through the darkness. The man skidded to a stop, pressing himself against a brick wall. This way, he whispered urgently, gesturing Harry to follow him into an even darker passage. The air held a chill that pierced through Harry's jacket, sending shivers down his spine. Who are you? Harry blurted again, needing confirmation of his ally's intentions. Why should I trust you? The man shifted nervously. You can't trust anyone right now, Harry. Everyone is a potential enemy. Listen, my name is Liam. I've been tracking those who are connected to your brother. He took a breath as if weighing his words carefully. Trust me, it's imperative that we reach the old library. Library? Harry echoed, baffled. Why not somewhere safer? Because that's where we can find out where Jamie is being held. It's a place of knowledge, a sanctuary that still stands against the darkness. They moved again, this time with caution, shadows creeping closer with every step. Harry couldn't shake the feeling that something was following them, watching from the corners of the dimly lit alley. His heart raced as he replayed the mysterious call in his mind, something was coming for Jamie Starr. As they ducked into the narrow entrance of the library, a heavy wooden door creaked open, revealing an interior cloaked in shadows. Dust motes danced in the faint light spilling through grimy windows, the air was thick with the smell of old books and forgotten tales. It felt like stepping back in time, into stories that had long been buried. Wait here, Liam instructed, as he moved cautiously further inside. Harry's instincts warned him against staying alone in the entrance, but he lacked a better option. He peered into the dimness, heart pounding with uncertainty. As the silence stretched, he let his gaze drift over the rows of bookshelves, knowing Jamie loved this place once. It was a refuge for him, a sanctuary filled with stories that swept him away into worlds far beyond their mundane lives. But now, it felt like a hidden mausoleum, its secrets buried deeper than he had realized. Harry's thoughts raced back to the last time he saw Jamie, animation and laughter as they shared the adventure of a new book series. He felt the sharp pang of urgency again, remembering how Jamie's eyes sparkled as he shared theories about magic and heroes. Now, here they were, those stories turned nightmarish as his brother's life hung in the balance. Liam returned, breaking the silence and startling Harry. He held a dusty tome, its cover worn and faded. This is what I was looking for, he said, placing it on a nearby table. What is it? Harry asked, his curiosity piqued despite his apprehension. It details ancient rites, families involved in something much larger than ourselves. It should explain what threats are facing Jamie and why we must act quickly. He opened the book, revealing pages filled with cryptic symbols and illustrations. Harry leaned in, bewildered. This is insane. Are you really telling me my brother is caught up in this? I know it sounds unbelievable, Liam admitted, flipping through the pages. But you need to understand that your family is part of a legacy, something that connects to these rites. Your ancestors were involved in binding beings that were never meant to be disturbed. Wait, are you saying we're some sort of ancient guardians? Harry's voice dropped to a skeptical whisper, half convinced he was caught in a surreal and twisted dream. "We're bound to a destiny, whether we acknowledge it or not," Liam replied, and his expression turned grave. "Those who wish to restore these powers will go to any lengths to capture Jamie. He's a key to their plans, whether he knows it or not." Harry felt a swell of disbelief mixed with dread. "And you think this book can help us find him?" Liam nodded, tracing his finger across a particular illustration that depicted a figure bound in chains beneath a full moon. "It appears they've mistaken Jamie's lineage for something else. The page hints at a place hidden in the heart of the city, a ritual site lost to time. We need to decipher this tonight, there's no time to waste." Harry's heart raced at the thought of Jamie being somewhere, lost or worse. "So what's stopping us from going right now?" Liam's eyes glinted with the flash of urgency. "We don't know who's watching. This library will offer us a temporary advantage, they won't expect us here. But we need to work quickly. If we can unlock the knowledge here, we might find where they are holding Jamie before it's too late." The weight of the situation pressed on Harry. The comforting reality of his life felt like a distant memory, replaced by the specter of his brother's fate hanging by a thread. "And if we're wrong? If this is just a wild goose chase?" Liam met Harry's gaze, his intensity unwavering. "If we don't act, we risk losing him forever. You have to trust me, Harry. This isn't just about Jamie, it's about stopping whatever dark forces are at play. Families have been torn apart in this war. We don't have the luxury of skepticism." Harry took a steadying breath, feeling the urgency echo through the library's silence. He looked at the darkened corners, felt the weight of old secrets pressing down as if they were invisibly connected to his family's lineage. Whatever happened next, he realized, there was no turning back. "All right, let's do this," he said finally, steeling himself for the unknown challenges ahead. They would find Jamie, and he would do whatever it took to bring him back. As they leaned over the tome, the call of the ancients *, shadows in the corners seemed to twist and coil, foreshadowing the choices they were making together. Little did they know, forces were already converging, drawing closer around them, unaware of how entangled they would become in the web of fate that stretched far beyond their understanding. As they leaned over the tome, the call of the ancients *, shadows in the corners seemed to twist and coil, foreshadowing the choices they were making together. Little did they know, forces were already converging, drawing closer around them, unaware of how entangled they would become in the web of fate that stretched far beyond their understanding. Liam's fingers danced over the pages, scanning through cryptic symbols and ancient texts. Harry leaned closer, resonating with a mix of trepidation and determination, hunger for knowledge consuming him. "What exactly are we looking for?" he asked, trying to keep the desperation from his voice. "Anything that can lead us to him," Liam replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Ritual sites, incantations, anything that signals a connection to Jamie. The book hints at a celebration, a convergence of powers, it could be happening soon, and I fear it has something to do with him." Harry's heart raced at the implications. What kind of celebration? And what powers? "An ancient festival," Liam continued, flipping to a page with a detailed illustration of a ritual circle surrounded by figures adorned in ceremonial attire. "These celebrations were held by people who once tried to manipulate the energies of the world, realms beyond ours. They believed that on certain nights, the barrier weakens between dimensions, allowing creatures from the dark to cross into our world." Harry felt a chill wash over him at the mention of creatures from the dark. Jamie's absence felt more like a ticking bomb than ever. "Do you think Jamie is meant to play a part in this? Maybe they think he has special powers." "Precisely," Liam answered gravely. "That is likely the case. If they know even a fraction about his connection to your family, they will exploit it for their own gain. It's imperative we find the location mentioned in this book, and quickly." They worked in silence for a while, the tension palpable, both of them deeply absorbed in the old text, searching for any fragment of information that could lead them closer to Jamie. With each page turned, time seemed to blur. Then, a soft thud echoed from the back of the library, interrupting their concentration. Both men froze, an immediate tension building in the air. Harry could feel his heart pounding against his ribcage, the quiet of the space amplifying every noise. "What was that?" Harry whispered, barely managing to keep his voice steady. "Shh." Liam mouthed, eyes darting toward the sound. He quietly pocketed the book and motioned for Harry to follow him as he slipped between the shelves, pressing against the cool, damp walls. The use of the library for their temporary safety felt less certain with every passing moment. As the noise persisted, a figure emerged from the shadows, a tall silhouette moving with a predatory grace. Harry's breath caught in his throat. Was this someone looking for them? Or worse, for Jamie? Liam's expression turned grave. We need to hide. Now. Without needing further encouragement, Harry crept into a small alcove, ducking behind an expansive shelf filled with ancient encyclopedic volumes, their spines cracked and weathered. He could hear his own heartbeat echoing in the silence as they waited, holding their breath. The figure stepped closer, illuminated by the dim light filtering through the library windows. Harry's heart sank as he recognized the man from the alleyway, the one who had been following them. It was a moment of tense stillness as the man scanned the space, nose wrinkling as if sensing a disturbance in the air. I know you're here, he called out, his voice low and resonant, filled with a sinister undertone. You can't hide from what is meant to be revealed. Harry exchanged a glance with Liam, who clenched his jaw, his expression a grim mask of resolve. The man's presence felt suffocating, heavy with the unspoken knowledge of things Harry had no way to comprehend. Harry, the man continued, voice smooth and taunting, we both know you're in way over your head. You're playing a game you can't possibly win. Your brother is meant for greater things than you can imagine. Who are you? Harry hissed through gritted teeth, the adrenaline fueling his courage. What do you want with him? The man smiled, though it didn't reach his eyes. So many questions, and yet so few answers do you possess. Your family's legacy is fraught with conflict. But know this, Jamie is not just a mere child of your lineage, he is the key. And there are those who wish to use him, unleash powers he's unaware of. What do you mean? Harry demanded, feeling a swell of anger. You don't know anything about him. Oh, I know more than you think, the man replied, his eyes narrowing. I have seen the darkness that flows through your blood, Harry. It's only a matter of time before it awakens. And Jamie, he will awaken it. With a rush of adrenaline, Harry stepped out from behind the shelves, emboldened by his anger. You're a liar. We're not part of any of this. The man chuckled darkly, the sound echoing through the vast library. You misunderstand. This is not about lies, it's about truths you refuse to see. Your brother is but a part of a grand design, and time is not your ally. Back away. Liam stepped forward, pulling Harry behind him. If you want to get to Jamie, you'll have to go through me. Feisty, the stranger mused, a smirk twisting his lips. But futile. The forces you're tampering with are beyond both of you, struggling against fate itself. I'm here to collect Jamie, whether you like it or not. That chilling statement lingered in the air like a storm cloud. Harry's chest tightened, fear clawing at him. He realized this man's intentions were far darker than he had anticipated. He was a harbinger of chaos, an embodiment of the threat that wrapped around Jamie like a serpent. I won't let you take him. Harry shouted, fueled by emotion. The man's smile vanished, replaced by cold resolve. You have no idea what you're truly up against. You can try and stop me, but only the worthy will have a chance to save themselves. And with those ominous words, he turned and slipped back into the depths of the library, seemingly dissolving into the shadows. Harry and Liam stood frozen for a moment, stunned by the sudden encounter. We need to move, Liam urged, breaking the silence. That chase won't last forever, we need to figure out that ritual before they find us. Right, Harry nodded slowly, already feeling the weight of the reality settling around him. As they returned to the tome, the air between them shifted, an unspoken understanding hung in the air. Jamie wasn't just lost, he was caught in a web of forces neither of them could fully comprehend. With every heartbeat, the stakes rose higher, and the urgency to rescue him became an insatiable fire within them both. Let's find this location, Harry said, determination igniting in his chest like a wildfire. Whatever it takes. And with that pledge, they plunged back into the pages of the ancient book, drawn toward the fragile thread that connected their fates, a thread that would ultimately weave them into a tapestry of danger, discovery, and the haunting shadows of their family's past. Little did they know, as they began that journey, they were not only seeking Jamie but also unlocking secrets that had remained dormant for generations, secrets that, if unearthed, could change everything. As they plunged back into the pages of the ancient book, a sense of urgency hung in the air, electrifying their every movement. The ornate illustrations and cryptic texts swam before Harry's eyes, a whirlwind of symbols and words that seemed to pulse with life. Time was of the essence, and somewhere in the depths of that forgotten library, Jamie was waiting to be found. Here, look at this. Liam exclaimed suddenly, his finger tracing a line of symbols on the yellowed page. This passage mentions a gathering at the crescent moon, a site known for its connection to powerful energies. It's where they conduct the rituals every century. He pointed to a carefully illustrated map, routes marked with faded ink that veered through uncharted territory. What does it say about the festival? Harry pressed, the gravity of the moment weighing heavily upon them. It's a celebration of the convergence of realms and the unleashing of powers, dark and light. They believe that the very fabric between our world and others thins during this time, allowing entities to cross over. Liam's voice trailed off, as if he could hear the ominous echoes of the past enveloping them. What kind of entities? Harry swallowed hard, every instinct screaming at him to turn back, yet he felt rooted to the spot. Those who seek to harness these energies, beings both human and otherwise, who can manipulate dark forces, Liam replied grimly. And Jamie? He's pivotal to their plans. We have to get to him before it's too late. A surge of determination coursed through Harry. This wasn't just about rescue. He realized it was about protecting Jamie from something far more sinister than he had first grasped. We can't let this happen. We have to find this crescent moon site. Liam nodded vigorously. We need to leave now. Before we're discovered. They gathered their things, the urgency propelling them through the dimness of the library. But as they navigated the aisles filled with ancient knowledge, an eerie sense of foreboding settled over them. Each echoing footstep felt like a countdown. Outside, the night air was thick, a blanket of darkness suffocating yet oddly familiar. Liam led the way, consulting the map as Harry focused on keeping pace, thoughts racing ahead to the confrontation they were walking into. How far is it? Harry asked, a knot forming in his stomach. Not too far, if we take the back roads, Liam replied, urgency lining his words as they slipped into a narrow alley that led them away from prying eyes. But as they hurried through the labyrinthine streets, a sense of dread loomed closer. Shadows danced along the walls as the night deepened, echoing with an unexplained life of their own. Harry glanced back over his shoulder, the sensation of being followed weighing heavily on him. Stay sharp, he warned Liam, but before they could react, a low growl emanated from the darkness ahead. From between the shadows emerged the tall figure they had encountered in the library, flanked by two ominous shapes that flickered like smoke yet held substance. A pair of creatures like nothing Harry had ever seen. Their eyes glowed with an inner fire, sharpening the features of their twisted forms as they moved with unnatural grace. Did you really think you could escape? The stranger taunted, voice smooth and chilling as night. You've wandered into a trap. Liam, we need to run. Harry yelled, panic flooding him. Before they could turn, the creatures lunged, darting toward them with blinding speed. Harry's instincts kicked in. He grabbed Liam and yanked him back just in time to avoid the darting tendrils of shadow. Let's go, he shouted, adrenaline surging through him as they sprinted deeper into the alleyways, the pounding of their hearts drowning out the noise around them. We can't let them separate us. Liam gasped, barely keeping pace. I know. Harry replied, urgency tightening his grip on their shared fate. They navigated turning corners, an overwhelming sense of desperation guiding them. But the creatures followed, their growls echoing like whispered promises of doom. With every stride, Harry felt the weight of Jamie's fate pulling against him, a tether of desperation that urged him forward. They emerged onto a crescent-shaped street that felt eerily fitting. The air crackled, as if charged with something beyond this world. This has to be it. Liam shouted, pointing toward an old stone archway that led into a small grove where the moonlight spilled over an ancient altar at its center. But before they could reach it, the stranger stepped into their path. You're too late, boys. This night belongs to those who are meant to wield the power. Jamie will be theirs, and no amount of running will change that. I won't let you take him. Harry shouted, anger fueling an unexpected surge of bravery. We're not afraid of you. Liam called, stepping protectively in front of Harry. The stranger's laughter echoed hollowly. Fear is just the beginning, my friends. He gestured behind them, and the creatures surged closer, fangs glistening in the moonlight, blocking their escape. Harry's mind raced. This was their moment to act, to defy the darkness. He recalled the words from the tome, fragment memories of protections and rituals. Summoning the raw energy boiling inside him, he reached for something beyond himself, something he'd felt when they first entered the library. In an instant, a shimmering barrier flickered to life between them and the advancing creatures. The flickering light pulsed, illuminating the space around them with a warmth that fought against the darkness. Now, Harry urged, knowing this was their chance. Together, they charged toward the altar, determination igniting their every step. The creatures screamed as the barrier pushed against them, struggling to break through, but the shimmering light held strong, giving them precious moments as they reached the ancient stones. Do you remember anything from the book? Incantations? Anything that can help? Liam shouted as they approached the altar, scanning the engraved runes etched into the stone. Harry racked his mind, searching for the words they had read. Asterisk asterisk bound by blood and kin, destiny reveals the truth within. Asterisk asterisk he murmured, recalling the frail rhythms that echoed within the pages. Keep going. Liam urged. Asterisk come forth the light and break the chain, release the soul and shatter the pain. Asterisk Harry called out, feeling the words resonate deep within him, fueled by love and desperation for his brother. The altar shimmered, the energy rippling through the air as it connected to the moonlight above, illuminating a path toward the darkness that surrounded them. As the incantation took shape, the creatures recoiled, caught in the force of the unfolding power. The stranger's eyes widened, surprise flickering across his features. Stop this. You have no idea what you're doing, he howled, desperation spilling from his lips. But it was too late. The moon erupted in a kaleidoscope of silver light, bursting forth from the altar and arcing toward the dark forces like a phoenix rising from shadows. Harry could feel the energy vibrating in his bones, pushing back against the encroaching darkness. As the light spread outward, it encased him and Liam, forging a protective sphere that shielded them from harm and carved a path toward Jamie. In that moment, time seemed suspended, the echoes of their battle, the pulsing moonlight, the cries of the creatures, all collided into a symphony of existence, revealing the sacred connection that bound them together. From the heart of the light, a figure began to emerge, a familiar silhouette materializing through the shimmering veil. Jamie. Harry. Jamie's voice broke through the tumult, filled with surprise and relief as he stepped into their world. Jamie. Harry shouted, heart racing, as he reached out toward his brother. We've got you. It's time to go. But as Jamie stepped closer, the darkness writhed, thrumming with anger as the creatures gathered, a vengeance igniting in their haunted gazes. Stop them, the stranger barked, a tempest of fury as he commanded his minions. But just then, as if fueled by the very essence of hope that bound them, the light surged again, obliterating the separation that had kept them apart. It shattered the barrier between realms and enabled Jamie to cross into the safety they had fought so hard to seize. Together. Harry called, feeling the power pulsing through them now as if it were a living thing. We can do this together. And in that moment, hand in hand, the three brothers stood united, lifted by the brilliant glow of their bond. The dark creatures shrieked as the light enveloped them, the echoes of their cries fading into the abyss. The stranger's face twisted in despair, realizing their defeat as he was consumed by the radiant power they had unleashed. Bursts of energy exploded around them, illuminating the night in blinding brilliance. Just as the light began to dim, it coalesced one last time around the altar, sealing it against the threats that loomed. As the shadows receded, the crescent moon shone brightly above them, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. Breathing heavily, Harry looked into Jamie's eyes, the relief flooding through him like sweet nectar. I'm so glad we found you, brother. I was afraid I lost you. But I'm here now, Jamie smiled, shaking with a mixture of exhilaration and fatigue. What's happening? I just remember darkness. What matters now is that we're together, Liam interjected, a warmth spreading through his chest, uncertainty giving way to hope. But even in their triumph, a whisper of caution brushed against Harry's consciousness. They had only begun to unravel the intricate threads that had bound them to destiny, a journey that would lead them down paths yet unexplored and dangers yet undiscovered. We need to be ready, Harry said, looking over the remnants of the dark forces that began to dissipate into the dawn. This isn't just a battle, it's part of something bigger. The moon began to fade, giving way to the pink hues of dawn as the first light strewn across the horizon. The world around them shifted, marking the end of one chapter, but the beginning of another. With newfound resolve, they turned toward the rising sun, hearts intertwined by the unbreakable bond of family, knowing they would face whatever came next, together. Whatever darkness awaited them, they would carve their path anew, forging a legacy of light against the shadows that threatened to consume it. And as they stepped forward into the unknown, they knew that their true journey had just begun.